I want to echo something that you said because, for example, we were talking about fasting, getting the repetition of feeling hungry and not responding to that hunger by grabbing for food. And now you have self-control with hunger.
Skill set for you.
A skill set. The plunge is like it's like repeatedly getting yourself into a very stressful environment and then having to calm yourself down. Because if people, like when I've gone to the plunge at Asha and I've watched people, or I've had my like people use my plunge, if you go in there and you immediately start going, it's hard as hell and they have to get out after 20 seconds because they can't take it. But if they purposefully start to control their breath and slow themselves down, calm themselves down from being in an excited state, you could even watch the heart rate go down on a watch. It's a repetition of calming yourself down under a really uncomfortable stress. Now think about how if you do that on a daily basis, how that can then link to how you react to stress on a daily basis, how you react to your girlfriend doing something or a bad call from work or whatever. You know now, literally, you know how to use your breath to calm yourself down and assess the stressful situation that's at hand. And that's a crazy thing right there. It's awesome how useful it is on the mind front. That
to me is the biggest thing that it's there for. It is kind of reprogramming our relation to stress. And at first it's like, it becomes a feeling you get a little used to. And then it's just second nature. And then it's like you're even more comfortable with it. And then you know, cold plunging is kind of like a workout in its own right. You got to switch it up. Sometimes you get too comfortable with it. Your body kind of knows the mechanism to do it. So you got to change the temp, change the time, maybe do a different structure of getting in, getting out. So there's ways to play with it to kind of keep your nervous system quite like, you know, how do I respond to this?
And last thing, Andrew Huberman is a big lover of like cold plunging. And he mentioned something on his podcast and he made a post about it, how it's actually one of the cures for procrastination. And when you think about what actually happens, he has this term limbic friction. This morning, I'm going to admit it, I was a pussy. I didn't go into my plunge because it's one of the coldest days in Sacramento history. Okay, it's like 37 degrees outside. So I went out there.
26 this morning.
26? Hey, man, there we go. But I went outside. I stood in front of it. I had limbic friction. So I was like, I walked back in, right? But what you'll notice is that as I plunge often, if I get used to doing it every single day, there's less procrastination it takes to go and plunge. All right, go and do the hard thing. But from there's then less procrastination to do all the other hard things that I or anyone else that's doing this needs to do during the day. That's why Huberman calls it a cure for procrastination. Because if you can get yourself to do this hard thing, every other hard thing's actually kind of easy.
Totally, you're saving time. I that is the thing that's 1B why I do it. My morning just speeds up. Like it's like, because I'm in doing the thing that matters.
Yeah.
And I'm not kind of, okay, I'm going to make my coffee. I'm not lagging around. I'm not checking Instagram. It's kind of, I'm back. I'm feeling good. Cool. I want to go get to that email I've been wanting to get to. I want to go make that phone call I need to get to. So it feels like an acceleration, like I'm time traveling.
Yeah.
I think Wim Hof started getting into it. I believe he went into a pond after his wife died. And he was, I think he has 4 children. And so he utilized it for a really stressful situation. I think he recognized that when he got out that one particular day that he felt better. I don't know what called to him to do that in the first place, but a lot of people are utilizing it for things like anxiety and depression too, right?
That's absolutely, I think that's a huge frontier of where it's going. It's not something that I got into for that. But we're noticing people that are, New York Times just had an article out 3 days ago, completely on cold therapy and the mental health, anxiety, depression side. So that, massive. But yeah, that is it's, to put in 2 to 3 minutes on it, it's still a hard thing to do. So it does take something to get into it, but it's a short time to get that ROI on getting your body to get those endorphins, get the dopamine, like actually feel, okay, cool, like a new perception, switching your perception for a moment. And usually it takes going for a hard run or, and that's when you're depressed, like the longer it is, the gap to get to changing your, like getting a sweat on or doing something like that is like the less likely it's going to happen. And so if you have something that's like, if I just get in there and do 10 breaths, like you got a shot to switch your perception and kind of have an opportunity to change the momentum of where you're at with your mental health.
Have you done any cold plunges where you got out and you felt way worse?
No.
Yeah, it's kind of like taking a shower. That's something I recommend to people often too, is just because it's something that's quick and easy to do. You don't have to be 30 minutes into it to start to feel the effects like you might with like a workout or something like that. And it's almost all of us are fortunate to have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my body's kind of stiff, and so getting that hot water on me can really help. The interesting thing about cold therapy is when I've done some cryotherapy and I've done some cold plunging as well. When I've done it, I actually noticed that my body, because your body's kind of fighting off how cold it was, that you get warm, and it, in my opinion, it feels similar to like getting out of a hot tub, which at first you're cold and you're like, this sucks kind of thing. But once your body starts to get warm, you're like, oh shit, I can move around really good. And you can like go from, kind of hobbling out of your bed to like running up and down the stairs.
Fire Project family, how's it going? I want to tell you guys about the legendary Tasty Pastry. And we've talked about Ben & Jerry's and snacks and stuff on the podcast, but those can go against your goals. They can be too calorically dense, and they can really make you crave more bad foods. But the crazy thing about the legendary Tasty Pastry is that it's 20 grams of protein and 5 grams of net carbs and 180 calories, and they taste amazing. You guys need to check them out. They have tons of flavors. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yeah, and the other thing, they passed the kid test. Kids love these things as well. Head over to eatlegendary.com and at checkout, enter promo code POWERPROJECT to save 20% off all the tasty pastries, all the nut butters, all the almonds, everything. Again, eatlegendary.com. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to the podcast.
100%. We were at Kelly Starrett's house a couple months ago. And
Name dropper.
Well, I dropped Kelly because Kelly is doing the most.
He's our boy.
This is the man. Love Kelly and Juliet, and he's doing active workouts with the plunge. So his thing is assault bike. Like we do a minute plunge in 39 degrees, and then we're out and we're 30 seconds max on the assault bike back into the plunge. And it was
crazy, man.
Your blood, because what you're doing is you're going from the heat to the cold, so you're warming your body up, so the blood flow, your body's just completely. It's fun. It's euphoric. I don't quite know what it's doing. You can talk to Kelly on that one, but it was an incredible workout. So incorporating movement into the process is it's essential too, to kind of warm the body up, keep the blood flowing, because that's, you're restricting blood vessels when you get into the plunge, but then you get back out and you want to kind of open that back up.
Going opposite of Laird Hamilton, who's like exercising in a sauna that's like 200 degrees or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, because like in the mornings I'll do probably like 45 minutes of groundwork where I'm stretching and doing all kinds of things. So like, I'm just thinking in my head, like, okay, when would I be able to implement this? Because I'll do that and work out or swap it around. Like it doesn't always happen where I work out and stretch on the same morning, but I'm always doing one of them. And I know like what Nsima was saying, like if you plunge after a workout, it could hinder some gains, or you mentioned it as well. But then I'm like, okay, what if I do it right when I get out of bed? I'm like, but then I'm going to go do stretching. Like in my head, I'm thinking everything's going to be so tight. I don't know what's going to happen. So is that like, based off of what Mark just said, is that something that like where I could implement something like that?
Totally. I mean, I get out of my bed, I do meditation, and then I spend about 15 minutes doing stretching, kind of moving the body, and then I get right into the plunge, because I like to do it right before I'm going to my day. Like it's kind of my last thing to get my shot of espresso and let's go do the things in the world. Yeah. So that's, that would be my recommendation, but everyone's different. I mean, that's kind of the thing. It's like we get asked for our protocols all the time, and it's the real, it's the exploration of yourself and kind of what works for you. So post-workout's a great time to do it too. I mean, I think the gains part of it, unless you're a world-class bodybuilder or, not even that, it's like there's other guys like, I think it is so important on the recovery side that it kind of offsets the potential of stunting the muscles in what comes post-workout.
Hey guys, I've seen that you guys have been commenting about how much you hate the whispering outro, asking you to like, comment, and subscribe. So I'm going to whisper again because I know you don't like it. So hey, I know we're bringing you some good content, so like, comment, subscribe, and share it with some friends so we can all help each other out. And maybe I'll stop whispering in your ear.